Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Christine and I'm a Florida gal living in the UK. Since I have this background that is like the nicest background I have in my life right now, I thought I would take the time to talk about how I was able to make friends as an adult after moving abroad. And it is just as a surprise to me as it is to you, I'm sure. I'm 32. I moved to London when I was 29. I've always wanted to live here. I had been wanting to live here for like 10 years, more than 10 years, because I saw some journals from high school that said that I'm going to live in the UK. Like I don't know, I had this real affinity towards this country for a very long time. And part of me wants to say that it's because my grandparents got their start here. They're part of the Windrush generation. They met in London. They got their family started there. My mom was born here, my uncle, then they moved back to Jamaica. My aunt was born there. I would like to say that I've always had it in me, that I had a draw to this country. I have no idea. I wanted to just express some tips that have helped me get friends at this stage in my life. Basically, I started making content because a lot of people in my life are just, we're on separate pages. Some people are starting families, some people are having babies, and I essentially started over at 29. I tried to move here 2016. I think it was 2016, whenever Brexit was. I tried to move here then. I didn't have a passport then because I didn't know that I was eligible then. So I tried to move during Brexit. Before the vote, like literally before the vote. And I had interviews lined up. This was back when I was in the architecture field. I had interviews lined up. I was ready to go. And then the vote came out as we didn't expect. And honestly, whenever there's any kind of bad news, like you could blow on the economy and the architecture field will just fire everybody. All of my things were put on hold or canceled, and I was in Atlanta at the time and I just did not want to be there. I appreciate Atlanta now. Like I actually kind of miss that city low key. I miss the food, I miss the people, and like I had a really good time. But at the time, it just was not for me. I just was always wanting to be somewhere else. In the meantime, I was like, what am I going to do? My friend said that they had a job opening at her firm in New York. So I went to New York. So I moved to New York in 2017. And I said to myself, I'll just be content with being in New York. I'll just visit back and forth. I'll just be content to use my limited American vacation days to visit. I was doing that for a while. I went back every year to London, to the UK. Some years I rented a car and I drove around the English countryside, which was amazing. Other times I just stayed in London, and it was in 2019 where one of my friends got married in Turkey. So went to Istanbul, had the time of my life, went back to the UK, but I didn't stop in London. Well, I flew into London, but I didn't go there. I actually spent the week in Rye. And if you're wondering, how do you spend a week in Rye? Your guess is as good as mine, but I definitely stretched it out. And it was that trip also, I rented a car. It was magical, magical. I spent the time driving around the English countryside. Okay, I'm getting off topic, but back to what I was saying is that after this trip in 2019, I said to myself, I can't I can't be satisfied with what I have. I need to move to the place that I always said I wanted to. I wanted to always be here. I decided right after that trip that I was going to go regardless. And I had started to make moves from December 2019. I was starting to sell things. I was starting to um, look at how I could get my dog over here. She already had her international vaccines and microchips and stuff like that. And then I gave my job so much notice, which I don't recommend you do. Do not give your job more than 2 weeks' notice unless you have to. I swear by this. I gave my job so much notice around March 2020 because what I was doing, I felt like really somebody really needed to be trained to do it. For this one project that we had, it was a crazy project. And I remember sitting my director down and being like, I know there's a virus in China, but I don't think that's going to affect us over here. Oh dear. Anyway, so I gave my notice so early, and then all of this stuff happened, all these shutdowns, and then we were working from home for 2 weeks, and then it got extended to 2 more weeks and everything like that. And then I asked my director if I could stay on just one more month longer. Like my landlord agreed, somebody else agreed, but my job did not agree to just do that one thing. And I can't blame them business, but I hate it when a company says that we're like a family here because they will hang you out to dry if they need to. Anyway, back on track. So, how did I get here? I had plans to move here, you know, going to be in architecture. I was just going to go to London, no job lined up, and wing it, me and my dog. And the pandemic happened, and I had to pivot. So, what they tell architecture students is that when the economy goes south, if there's any kind of hardship, go back to school, go to grad school. And that is what I did. So, luckily, the UK has a rolling grad program, and I was able to apply. What month was that? Even April. And I had some people that were like, you should do a PhD in architecture. And I was considering it. I was going to go to University of Edinburgh. I was looking at University of Kent for a PhD in architecture. And then I saw that some schools had Masters of Science in Real Estate. And I said, I always wanted to do real estate. I had a business minor at my undergrad. So, like architecture and business. So I was like, why don't I do that? Because I like real estate. I like development, news, just feasibility studies, how projects came to be. I loved that stuff. So I actually like ended up doing something completely different. So I applied to schools and I got in, and I ended up choosing Kingston University to complete my master's. I moved here September 2020, and that was when there was a bit of a break in the UK. Like, it just looked like the UK just had their stuff together and America was just such a mess. I had a window of opportunity to move over here at that time. So my classes were in person, but not as frequently as they would have been. And then the rest of the time was virtual. So I did get to meet some of my classmates. So the first way I made friends was through my classmates. And it was kind of like, forming, like we're in this kind of strange situation. So we're just trying to make the best of it and really support each other and lean on each other. And I met some really great people through my school. I don't keep in touch with them as much as I should now. We started our jobs and we got really busy, and I'm not really in London too much. I'm back and forth up north, but I was able to like really form a good community with my classmates, and we got each other through the assignments, and it made the subsequent lockdowns that we had like from October, November time, it made them so much easier to deal with because I had this support system. We didn't quite expect to have more lockdowns, but we should have known, it's just that's the way it was going. So we would have 1 month of lockdown, 1 month off, or something like things like that. It would just go back and forth. And I was so busy at the time that I didn't notice. There was one lockdown that I had a paper due, and it was a really important paper. Towards the end of it, all this research and like school and like worrying about other stuff and like trying to start like this like online business. It got to the end of the lockdown period, and Boris Johnson was like, okay, so easing of restrictions. And I was like, what? At this point, it's important to know that for a good like 6 months, 6 or 7 months, I was living alone and I was surviving off my savings that up to that point. So I was living alone, and I had my classmates and I had my friends back home. So I kept in touch with them, and I was always calling people and they were always calling me. So it never really felt like that lonely, but it I didn't notice it until I moved. So the second way I made friends was I had to move out of that place because my savings were just dwindling and I needed something way cheaper so quick. So I think I had like 10 days to find a place, which was fine in that time because it was still kind of lockdown era. Like not many people were looking at stuff. So I was able to find something so quick. It's not like now where rental market in London is so weird and like so competitive because like I think everybody's just coming back. So I moved into a flat share that was cheap, and guess how many roommates I had? I had 7 roommates. So this was an 8-bedroom house. This was a terrace house that the landlord converted into 8 bedrooms. So there were 2 kitchens in the house. I had a kitchen on my floor and there was one a main kitchen on the bottom. And so every floor had bathroom as well. So it didn't feel like we were on top of each other that much. I said to myself, I don't care. I just need a place. If they're weird, I'll just be in my room because I still had school to finish up. If they're weirdos, I'll just keep to myself, whatever. It turns out they weren't weirdos. They were just super Italian. And after all the lockdowns and easing of restrictions and stuff, they threw a lot of parties. And so I got into that habit as well, as like hosting my own parties. And they were just really like friendship focused. And that's really something that I really like about like Italians. And I think the French do this too. Like just like the Mediterranean countries, it's really about community and they will be friends with people for a very long time. And it's just so important to them. Like for me, I'm fine with being alone. Like I'm a total loner, introvert. Yeah, I have my friends, but I like to like replenish my batteries alone. What I didn't expect in this experience is that I had to adjust to living with people again and being around a lot of people. And I actually had such bad anxiety at the beginning, but then I worked through it. And the more exposure I had to like for myself, the easier it got to like form better connections with people and everything like that. And it's not to say I was best friends with everybody in the house. Like people kind of came and went also. But I did make some friends from that situation that I still keep in touch with, and I very much appreciate that they're in my life. So yes, the roommate situation is a little bit awkward to say at this stage in my life. And I feel so behind because everybody else, not everybody else, but like a lot of people have like a house and like a family and stuff. And I'm like over here talking about my roommates. And then I just have to be like, you know what, this is my journey, it is what it is, and I'm just try to make the most of it. I try to make the best of a situation, and I say it's for the plot. New season unlocked, new characters, new plot lines, and like that's the mentality that I have with this right now. It's kind of embarrassing, but also I just have to get over it because nobody cares. At the end of the day, nobody cares. Nobody cares what you're doing. They have their own lives. Another thing that I did during that time between my last class and summer, and then also I was nannying part time. So between all of that and like trying to get to know my roommates more, but not really being part of them, I signed up for Bumble BFF and I met people through that. And it was an interesting experience. I would say maybe I had like a couple like friend dates. And from that, 2 of them are still my friends. And it's been like 2-ish years. I I actually do highly recommend Bumble BFF, and it's strange to say that, but it's also I think it's something that is easier if you're a girl, like as a woman, as like female. It's just easier to do, and if you're a man watching this, I'm sorry, but it might be weird to do Bumble BFF. But I just like from my perspective, it really helped kind of not me make me feel so isolated and alone and stuff and just kind of really work on my like social skills, and I had good time using that. I didn't encounter very many like weird girls. Through those girls also they have other friends, so then you get invited to stuff and then like you plan stuff and like they're kind of in the same situation as you, is like their friends have like gotten married or started families, they've moved out to the countryside, moved out to London, so they're looking to like meet people that are kind of at the similar stage in their life, like single, no kids, no man, no partner. Definitely beneficial to have that as a gateway to a larger network. And then the last thing, oh, it's not the last thing. The fourth way I've made friends. Was it 4? So I said, what did I say? School, roommates, Bumble BFF, 4. So I always, okay, it's kind of hard to explain, but there is a period of time where things just came together at the same time. And I started posting like on TikTok because nobody from my life was on my TikTok. And I still kind of think they might be following me and I have no idea. So nobody from my real life was following me on my TikTok. So I was sharing more on there. And I shared once that I had a date night to myself in the city. I'm dating the city. And this is how it's going to be until I find boyfriend, find friends and stuff like that. That TikTok did well. It didn't go viral, but went viral for me, and that it had like 30,000 views. And that was the first video I had like so much attention on, 5,000 likes. So I got all of these messages and all these DMs on my Instagram like, I'm in the same boat. Do you want to hang out? Do you want to hang out? So I started meeting people through that. Before I talk about that, there was a comment that said, you should join this Facebook group. It's called London Stayers, Pals and Plans. I'm not actually sure if that's the name anymore. London Stayers. And it's for people who are staying in London. Like, you're not moving. You are here for the long term and you're looking to meet friends. You want to meet new people. So this comment pointed me to this Facebook group. This Facebook group is so well managed, and I feel bad that I don't take part in these events anymore. It's just hard to right now for me. These Facebook events are so well managed. They broke them out into different groups. There was London Stayers for Putney. There was one for like Wimbledon. There was one for South Kensington. There's one for 30 plus. There's one for 40 plus. And like they broke out into all these groups and they would organize events. And then this was started from the pandemic. So it wasn't even that old. And like by the time I got there were thousands of people, and now there's thousands more. And it was just such a good thing to have. It was like Meetup, but it wasn't the Meetup app. It was just Facebook group, and then they plan events. And so sometimes they have ticketed events where they have like a dance party or this thing, and then they rent out the whole of like a floor of a pub and stuff like that. So at the height of when I was involved, I was in the 30 plus group, and I would organize, I think it was like Saturday or Sunday. I think it was Saturdays. It could have been Saturday or Sunday, early evening pub drinks. And so we'd get to know each other and like, whatever. So I did that for a couple of months actually, and I met some people through there, and that was a really fun time, made me feel less lonely. So I highly recommend that you look at whatever is going on in your town on Facebook. Facebook first, Meetup second. That's what I say. Like honestly, it really brought me so much joy at that time in my life. And then also from this viral video, just sharing content in general, I met people through there. Some of my friends, I had a really good group at one point, but they moved away. And some of my friends are still from that time period that I met, posted that TikTok. So through my content, I've been able to meet people, and I still am able to meet people. I made a new friend fairly recently. I met her at an event, and then we've been hanging out. There was a day where we spent the whole day together, and we didn't even know each other that well. I say I'm an introvert, and it was no issue. So I thought that was incredible. I've been able to meet so many people when I put myself out there. And I think that's a good lesson for in every aspect of life. Like when you put yourself out there, you're able to meet people. You don't know what's going to happen. And you just remain open to the possibilities. And nobody will know about you if they can't find you. So I highly recommend that if you're comfortable, put yourself out there, post online, make yourself known in some way, join that group, go to that event solo, go to a concert solo. I went to one solo earlier last year. I had a great time with my box. Like there's only box seats left with my box, and just met an American passing through, and we shared a bottle of wine. And you just never know who you're going to meet. And I think this leads me to my last point. I wasn't thinking to add this, but when you do things solo, more people are willing to come up to you and speak to you and engage with you. I don't know, people get more comfortable talking to you when they see that you're alone. And it's been the case everywhere I've gone. I went to Hania in Greece, in Crete, and I was just eating by myself one dinner, and I was having the time of my life. I had a great meal, great wine. There was a girl 2 tables like down from me, looked around my age, and she's like, "Can I join you?" And I said, "Yeah." And we spent the rest of the vacation having lunch and dinner together. Like we had our own things that we were exploring, but we had lunch and dinner together. It was incredible. Solo traveling and just solo activity. Go to that cafe solo. Go eat dinner solo. You just never know. You never know what is going to happen when you put yourself out there in these situations. So I have no fear of getting older and not having friends. Is it going to be a lot of friends? No, it's not like in uni or whatever. I try to make sure that they are quality friends. Maybe some people I've grown out of, maybe some people have come back into my life, but it's important to me right now to maintain the friendships. I don't judge anybody for taking the time to focus on their spouse or focus on their kids or whatever like that. I am here. I will be here. You do your thing. I will be here. I value my friendships so much that like it's important to me that I'm present and I maintain those friendships while also doing things that benefit me in terms of meeting new people, you know? In this time that I have, whilst everybody else in my life is just on a different page. I did have a friend recently, and I was just saying, yeah, I'm up north so much. I'm not really in London that much these days. It's getting hard to justify having a flat down there. And so he goes, what would you, but your community is down here. Do you have any friends up there? And I said, no, I'll make friends. And then I kind of like said it like come almost defensive. No, I'll make friends. And it just came out automatically and dropped it when I talked about something else. But then I thought about it later and I was like, no, I do make friends everywhere I go, even if it's one person, you know? So I have no issues with, you know, being up north and like seeing what this plot line yields, you know, the characters that come from this, the stories that I'm able to say, you know, I mean, you saw the hiking last week, the vlog that I put out 2 weeks ago. That was crazy. That's a crazy experience. So it's only crazy because it was so windy. Like it's so windy up here. Anyway, so yeah, you never know. That's all I have to say with that. Like it's just because you're older or you move somewhere doesn't mean that you're just going to be alone unless you choose to be. If you want to lock yourself up in a house, I can't help you. It's not impossible. It may be difficult, but it's not impossible. So, yes, that's all I had to say on that. And I hope this has helped you. I hope my videos help you as well. I want to do more sit down videos. Let me know your thoughts and your experiences of if you've moved, how you've been able to meet new people, and what your experience has been like. Or if you haven't moved, just getting older, your friends are in one like stage of life and you're in the other. Just tell me how it's been for you in the comments and we could have a whole discussion and it could be really lovely. So, as I said before, part of why I started making content and being on YouTube is because simply I just have the time. I have the time. This is my hobby. And, you know, whilst there's a transition period for a lot of people in my life, I've always found community online. So I hope to bring that here on YouTube as well. There's already like so many of you. To me, there's a lot. And I'm very happy that you're here. So let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're new here, please subscribe and like this video. It really helps me out to gauge what's popular, what you guys like to see. And I will see you next time. Bye.